Megalodon, the truth beyond the legend. We stand before one of the most mysterious and majestic creatures to have ever existed on Earth, the Megalodon shark. For many years, this giant shark has been shrouded in layers of legend and misunderstanding. From monstrous creatures in movies to inaccurate illustrations in textbooks, Megalodon is often depicted as a giant version of the great white shark, only bigger and more aggressive. But as a scientist, I believe that the truth about Megalodon is far more fascinating and complex. I have spent many years researching and analyzing fossils, especially the giant teeth of Megalodon, to uncover the mysteries of this shark. What we have found is completely changing our old understanding. Size and body shape, not just a bigger copy. Previously, we often estimated the size of Megalodon by comparing its teeth to those of the great white shark. Based on that simple ratio, it was believed that Megalodon could reach up to 18 to 20 meters, or even more. It was drawn with a body shape identical to the great white shark, just many times larger. But science is constantly evolving. When I talk about Megalodon, I'm not just thinking about a giant monster with a terrifying jaw. I'm thinking about a part of a larger story, a complex ecological picture that existed millions of years before us. To me, Megalodon is not just a shark, but a crucial link in the food chain. A creature with sophisticated and complex living habits that we are gradually discovering. Join me in diving deep into the ancient ocean to learn about Megalodon's daily life, from how they hunted and raised their young to why they vanished from Earth. The secret nursery, evidence of sophistication. One of the most interesting and important discoveries about Megalodon that my colleagues and I have studied is the existence of ancient nursery areas. This isn't just a place where Megalodon laid eggs or gave birth, but a testament to the complexity of their reproductive habits. We have found a large number of small Megalodon teeth belonging to juveniles concentrated in specific areas around the world, such as the Panama Canal and the northern coast of Florida. This concentration is not a coincidence. It shows that adult Megalodons intentionally chose shallow, warm waters with abundant food sources and, more importantly, fewer dangers to give birth. Why is this an important discovery? Because it shows that Megalodon was not just a solitary hunter. They had a sophisticated survival strategy, carefully selecting habitats to ensure the survival of the next generation. Caring for and protecting their young was a crucial evolutionary behavior, from single mother to caring father. Although we have no direct evidence of Megalodon caring for its young after birth, the existence of nursery areas suggests that they had a very careful reproductive cycle. Imagine a pregnant female Megalodon traveling thousands of miles to find a warm body of water where she would give birth to her young. These young Megalodons would then live in these shallow waters, hunting smaller fish and other marine animals until they were large enough to venture out into the deep ocean. This suggests that Megalodon may have had a complex life cycle, with different stages of life taking place in different habitats. This is a surprising similarity to some modern shark species, such as the great white shark, which also uses coastal nursery areas. Ecological role: a top predator or a guardian? With its immense size, Megalodon was undoubtedly an apex predator in the ancient marine ecosystem. Its teeth have been found on the fossilized bones of whales, dolphins, seals, and many other marine animals. But its role didn't stop at just eating. As an apex predator, Megalodon helped control the populations of other species, maintaining balance in the ecosystem. Megalodon's presence shaped how other species survived and evolved. For example, some ancient whale species developed the ability to swim faster or grew larger to avoid being hunted. Extinction, a lesson in interconnectedness. Megalodon dominated the oceans for millions of years, but then they disappeared. Why did such a great predator go extinct? My research has shown that Megalodon's extinction is directly related to climate change and the disappearance of its nursery areas. As the Earth cooled, sea levels dropped. Many warm, shallow waters where juvenile megalodons lived disappeared. This caused a catastrophe for the species, as they could not find safe places to reproduce and raise their young. Additionally, the changing ocean led to the disappearance of some of the whale species that Megalodon fed on, while also creating conditions for competing species, such as the great white shark, to thrive. The extinction of Megalodon is a clear example of the interconnectedness between species and their environment. A small change in the ecosystem can have huge consequences, even for a powerful predator like Megalodon. The story of Megalodon is not just a story about an extinct monster. It is a story about life, adaptation, and the fragility of existence in a constantly changing world. By studying the habits of Megalodon, we not only understand the past, but can also learn for the future. Every fossil, every tooth we find, tells a story. And I believe that those stories will help us better protect our current sharks and our oceans. My research with Dr. Kenshu Shimada has challenged this hypothesis. We reanalyzed the fossil evidence and found that such a simple ratio is not enough to describe a complex creature. Megalodon may not have been like the great white shark as we thought. Instead of having a large, long tail like the great white shark, Megalodon may have had a shorter tail and slower propulsion, similar to the modern sand tiger shark. This suggests that Megalodon may have been an ambush predator, surprising its prey rather than chasing them at high speeds. Its body could have been wider, heavier, with larger fins to support its massive weight. A more professional hunter than brutal. One of the most interesting discoveries is about Megalodon's diet. Their teeth were designed for crushing, not just for tearing flesh. This suggests that Megalodon may have hunted not only whales, but also large cartilaginous fish, sea cows, and other vertebrates. Imagine a shark with the ability to crush bones. That's a big difference from the great white shark today. It was not just the strongest predator, but also the most efficient predator. Extinction, a story of non-adaptation. We often think Megalodon went extinct because it had a stronger enemy, for example, the orca. But the truth is much more complex. Megalodon was not defeated by a single enemy. Instead, its extinction was the result of a series of environmental factors. Climate change. As the Earth cooled, sea levels dropped. This significantly reduced the warm coastal habitats where Megalodon hunted and reproduced. Disappearance of prey. As the environment changed, smaller whale species and Megalodon's other prey migrated to colder waters or disappeared. Megalodon, with its enormous body, needed a huge amount of food to survive. Competition. The great white shark, with its smaller size and more flexible movement, was better adapted to the changing environment. They also began to compete with Megalodon for scarce food resources. Therefore, the extinction of Megalodon is a lesson in adaptation. No matter how powerful, a species cannot survive forever if it cannot adapt to a changing environment. Our research has changed the way we view Megalodon. It is not a mythical monster, but a complex creature, part of a great evolutionary history. By studying Megalodon, we not only learn about an ancient shark, but also understand more about life, death, and the adaptation of species on this planet. And I believe that with new technologies and new discoveries, we will continue to explore the remaining mysteries of this giant shark. And each new story will amaze us even more. I am Robert W. Purdy. As a scientist at the Smithsonian Institution, I have dedicated my life to studying fossilized bones, especially shark teeth. Each tooth is a story, evidence of life millions of years ago. When we talk about Megalodon, we are not just talking about a giant creature. We are talking about its hunting skills, a skill that helped it dominate the ocean for 20 million years. So how did Megalodon hunt? We cannot observe them directly, but the teeth and bite marks on fossilized bones have provided us with invaluable clues. The ultimate weapon, jaws and teeth. Let's start with Megalodon's main hunting tool, its jaws and teeth. Megalodon had the largest and strongest jaws in shark history, with a biting force estimated at up to 18.2 tons. This force was strong enough to crush a car, and of course, enough to crush the bones of any prey. Megalodon had about 276 teeth, arranged in 5 rows, and these teeth were larger than a human hand. Unlike the great white shark, Megalodon's teeth were designed not only to tear flesh, but also to crush bone. These teeth were Megalodon's bullets. When a tooth was broken or fell out, a new tooth would immediately replace it from the row behind. This ensured that Megalodon's weaponry was always sharp and ready for battle. Hunting tactics. The big hit. Based on the bite marks on fossilized whale bones, we can reconstruct Megalodon's hunting tactics. Targeting high-value parts. Unlike the great white shark, which often attacks the prey's limbs, fins, tail, to immobilize them, Megalodon seemed to have a different tactic. Bite marks on whale bones show that they often targeted fatty and high-energy parts like the chest, ribs, and spine. A powerful bite to this area not only paralyzed the prey, but also gave Megalodon a large and rich meal. The crush and eat tactic. Once the prey was immobilized, Megalodon would use its sharp teeth to tear flesh and bone. Their immense biting force allowed them to easily crush the whale's ribs to access the internal organs. Fossil evidence. Stories from the past. One of the most convincing pieces of evidence of Megalodon's hunting skills is a fossilized whale found with characteristic Megalodon bite marks. These marks show that Megalodon attacked the whale from below, targeting the chest and ribs. The bite was so deep that it broke the whale's ribs and spine, indicating an extremely powerful and precise attack. Other studies also show that Megalodon not only hunted small whale species, but also larger ones, even humpback whales. This suggests that Megalodon was a fearless hunter and could take down any prey in the ocean. When I look at a Megalodon tooth, I don't just see a piece of fossilized bone. I see evidence of life, a story of the struggle for survival, and a lesson in the evolution of an extraordinary creature. Megalodon was not just a giant shark. It was a professional hunter with a perfect set of weapons and a sophisticated hunting strategy that helped it dominate the ocean for millions of years. Although they are extinct, the teeth and bite marks they left behind will forever tell the story of their life and death. Hello everyone, I am Mark D. Gottfried. I have spent many years studying fossilized bones, especially shark teeth. With each tooth, we not only see evidence of life, but also a story of its end. When we talk about Megalodon, a giant shark that dominated the ocean for millions of years, we cannot help but ask, why did such a magnificent creature disappear? The extinction of Megalodon is a profound lesson in the interconnectedness of species and their environment. It was not a single event, but the result of a series of factors, like a chain of dominoes, that toppled a seemingly invincible predator. The struggle for survival, cold and hunger. Megalodon dominated the warm oceans during the Neogene period. However, about 3.6 million years ago, the Earth began to undergo a major climate change, the Ice Age. Climate change, the deadly cold. As the Earth grew colder, sea levels dropped. This eliminated many of the warm, shallow coastal waters that Megalodon used as nursery areas to give birth. Juvenile Megalodons needed a warm, safe environment to grow, and the disappearance of these areas was a major blow to the species' survival. Once these areas were gone, Megalodon could not find a safe place to reproduce, leading to a sharp decline in the number of juveniles. The disappearance of food sources. The Megalodon shark was a specialized predator that fed on whales and other large marine animals. As the ocean cooled, many whale species migrated to colder waters near the poles. Megalodon, with its massive body, could not adapt to cold water temperatures and could not follow its prey. This created a major food crisis. Imagine a giant animal that needed tons of food every day to survive, but its food source disappeared. This pushed Megalodon into a state of starvation and population decline. The unequal competition, new enemies. Megalodon's extinction was not just an environmental issue, but also a biological competition issue. As Megalodon became weakened, a new rival emerged and took its place, the great white shark, the flexible successor. The great white shark, being smaller than Megalodon, had a significant advantage in adapting to the changing environment. They could move faster, hunt a wider variety of prey, and survive in colder waters. They filled the ecological gap left by Megalodon's decline. The emergence of orcas, an intelligent and social marine mammal, also appeared around this time. They were effective predators and could compete directly with Megalodon. Orcas could attack juvenile megalodons and steal food from adult megalodons. The combination of environmental changes, the disappearance of prey, and competition from new species created an overwhelming pressure on Megalodon. A species that had dominated the ocean for 20 million years had to succumb to a series of natural factors. A lesson from extinction. The story of Megalodon's extinction is a reminder that no species is invincible. Even a great predator like Megalodon must follow the laws of nature. The disappearance of Megalodon was not a tragedy, but a natural event that paved the way for other species to thrive. By studying its story, we not only understand the past, but can also learn for the future to protect our current sharks and our oceans.